Hey there! A big shot company hired me to develop a robot that simulates human emotion. Luckily, I have 2 years to finish the project, so I have plenty of time. Well, looks like the company decided to cancel the project due to the robot that simulates human emotion market hitting an all-time low. So now all I have is this prototype that only simulates half of what human emotions are capable of.
I must have sex, I must have sex, oh my god, I am so freaking horny, I must inject my seed into a female.
Yeah, that seems about right.
Games can change a lot throughout development. Sometimes they can be entirely different products from the idea from which they were conceived from. They all start with a prototype build. These builds showcase a basic representation of how the developers want to make the game. Heck, Splatoon's prototype build was a bunch of cubes shooting liquid at each other until they decided to make sexy squids, the playable characters. But sometimes games never go past this stage of development at all. By being straight up rejected or cancelled and never seeing a release and being left on a hard drive somewhere waiting to be uncovered. It is rare that these prototypes are released to the public, but nowadays companies release incomplete products all the time and they don't seem to care. So today we're going to look at lost video game prototypes, specifically games that never saw a release but were known to exist based off of public evidence provided by the companies or whatever I find interesting and gets me the most views. Surprisingly, there's a lot to go over, so I might revisit this topic one day. But for now, here are the lost video game prototypes, part 1, and I wonder why I'm still a virgin. And speaking of companies releasing incomplete products, hello Fallout! One of Bethesda's most popular open world series, it's hard to see any Fallout game announced to actually get cancelled because of the amount of effort put into making a huge quality game like this sometimes. But surprisingly, there are a few Fallout games that never saw the light of day. Fallout Van Buren, Fallout Extreme, and Fallout Brotherhood of Steel 2 were conceived in the late 90s to early 2000s and were made more like the first two Fallout games and by the original studio that created Fallout, Black Isle Studios, before Bethesda eventually took over the series. Not many screenshots exist for Fallout Extreme and Fallout Brotherhood of Steel 2, but Fallout Extreme was going to be a squad-based strategy game for the PS2 and original Xbox, and Fallout Brotherhood of Steel 2 was a sequel of the game of the same name, which had a leaked design doc showcasing some of the game's mechanics. But Fallout Van Buren has more leaked information about it, as a functioning tech demo leaked of the game in 2007. This game basically has the same mechanics as Fallout 1 and 2, but I really haven't played much of the first two games, so I really couldn't tell you the difference between this and the regular versions. Luckily, it can still be downloaded, so if you want to try it out for yourself, have at it. And oh man, if you have the hankering for lost Kirby prototypes, well, I just have enough for your fix, you fucking addict! History of lost Kirby prototypes goes back all the way to the 16-bit era, but what I'm going to talk about specifically is Kirby's Adventure that was announced for the GameCube at E3 2005. It seemed to be a standard Kirby game, with the addition of being able to have multiple partners, which the idea would be reused for Kirby Star Allies on the Nintendo Switch. There's really no specific reason for why this game got cancelled. I mean, it looks like a decent Kirby game. Having the development time to go to waste seemed a bit odd. Following this game's cancellation were two more Kirby games that also got scrapped. One was even planned to take the series into 3D, which is something that the series never has technically done before. Oh, shut up! That doesn't count! It wouldn't be until October 2011 we would see a return to form of the Kirby series, with Kirby's Return to Dreamland for the Wii. Now let's talk about my favorite bear and bird duo, BanjoKazooie. Yeah, BanjoKazooie might have released, but its development codename, Project Dream, didn't. Dream Land of Giants was going to be an RPG game for the SNES. It used pre-rendered digitized graphics similar to Donkey Kong Country and followed the protagonist, Edison. Dream ended up being too ambitious for the SNES, so development was moved to the N64 and started from scratch, and oh man, look at all that vomit! Compared to the SNES prototype, it was clear that this project began to fall apart. Neither the SNES or N64 was capable of bringing the developers' ideas to life, so the Project Dream development team took inspiration from the Conquer development team and completely reworked Dream into a 3D platformer, which would become BanjoKazooie. A pretty good trade-off, but the N64 definitely could have used some more RPGs, but since Banjo basically became the representation of 3D platformers from that era, shows its appeal. I think it was a good idea to dump Project Dream. But if you want to talk about bad ideas, oh look, it's the Virtual Boy! A lot of games were cancelled for the Virtual Boy because of its commercial failure. Not many games were even released for the system, much less finished. Unless you were a fan of the losing sense of sight genre, this system wasn't for you. But hey, every Nintendo system has their definitive Mario game, and there were Mario games released for the system, but it didn't really have the standard 2D Super Mario game. At least, it was going to. VB Mario Land was going to be a sequel to Super Mario Land 2. The only footage of this game was recorded at Winter CES 1995, so sorry for the old video footage. The difference between this and its predecessor is that you can go into the backgrounds of levels and even explore top-down Zelda-like segments, making use of the visual 3D feature of the Virtual Boy. It's very similar to the Wario Land game also released for Virtual Boy, considering how they both allow you to explore areas in the background. My theory is that VB Mario Land was made using some assets from VB Wario Land, as Mario is noticeably slower than he usually is. It's pretty interesting considering how nowadays 2D Mario games are criticized for being more of the same. I would actually like to see how the Mario series would have been if this game released. It had a lot of interesting ideas that could have really freshened up the series. Just not for the Virtual Boy though, because I ain't no communist!
I'm so lonely. Oh, hey, welcome back. So the prototype robot that I made started his own Instagram account and started posting half-naked pictures of himself in a mirror, hoping to get hot slash. And when no girls would like his posts, he started getting all depressed and started saying how he's now an incel and how girls should stop liking jocks. And man, we've all been there.
While we're on the topic of robots, how about we talk about a particular robot in video games that's the pure essence of being ignored by its own company, Mega Man. Mega Man! The super fighting robot! If you're watching this video, you most likely have already seen all the rants demanding the revival of the Mega Man series. In its heyday, Mega Man was a money-grubbing gaming icon, almost a new game being released every year. And Mega Man Legends 3 was going to follow that trend. Mega Man Legends 3 was going to be released for the 3DS and was announced on September 29, 2010. The prototype seemed to get pretty far into development, and Capcom even planned to release a prototype version of the game on the 3DS's eShop in 2011, but obviously that never happened. When the game was first announced, Keiji Inafune, Mega Man's debatable creator, announced at the Nintendo Conference 2010 in Japan that the fans will be involved in Mega Man Legends 3 production. Capcom opened up a forum on their website, allowing fans to submit ideas for the game. The community seemed very involved, and contests were held to get certain ideas into the game. The developers even shared screenshots of early versions of the game, but 1 month after the game's announcement, Keiji Inafune left Capcom. This made the community question whether Mega Man Legends 3 would even continue development, but the developers reassured the community that it would happen. It did not. Blame for the game's cancellation seems to go back and forth. Capcom UK's Twitter account blamed the game's cancellation on the lack of interest of the game on the fans, to later apologize and say there was little interaction in the dev room. So whose fault is it that Mega Man Legends 3 got cancelled? Well, the obvious answer would be Capcom, but I think Mega Man fans and Capcom in general have to take the blame for this one. The project was practically built upon fan participation, and when no one participated, well, obviously the game got canned. And what can you say really? Mega Man as a series wasn't selling well, so Capcom quit making Mega Man games. But now Mega Man fans are crying out for more Mega Man games, so Capcom made a new Mega Man game. The demand just wasn't there yet at the time. If you want to know more about this, I recommend watching the Mega Man Legends 3 documentary on YouTube, as I got most of my information from there. But luckily, the Mega Man series has resurfaced with Mega Man 11, so maybe we'll see a return of Mega Man Legends 3. Or maybe not. I don't know. Shut the fuck up, I don't care. I want to talk about the Avengers. And oh man, the Avengers is a good movie, isn't it? They should have made a game out of that. Luckily, we have THQ making a new Avengers game. Oh, damn. Shit! Yeah, licensed games are notorious of being shitty cash-ins, with the minor few exceptions, and the Avengers game looked to be very promising. You played in a first-person perspective as various Marvel characters. Strangely, I get a very Wolfenstein and Doom 2016 vibes from it, mostly because it's in a first-person perspective and you can mow down enemies and use finishing moves. It definitely seems to be more in-depth than the regular licensed game, which are usually mediocre platformers or mascot racing games. Obviously, as I shown earlier, the rights holders at the time, THQ, began to go through financial struggles and ended up going bust, and obviously the game went along with it. Years later, THQ has revived, and now Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics are developing an Avengers game. But all we got from it so far was a teaser trailer and nothing more than that since the game's announcement in 2017. And it's kinda sad, seeing all this work to go to waste is kinda depressing. These games aren't necessarily bad ideas, but you can tell there was passion in these projects, and whether they weren't completed because of financial or creative differences shows that the developers tried to bring it to life, but just couldn't. But ideas never really die. Mega Man coming back from the dead is an example of that. Most likely, we'll see these games again in a different form or another.
Who knows, maybe someday the market will need the robot that simulates human emotions again. Until then, I stored away my prototype robot in the closet right next to the gun safe. Damn it.